Hey. Wow, it's so weird. We keep wearing the same outfit.
It's great. This is a podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Timeless.
Video cast?
It's a micro podcast.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I have an important question for you.
Fire. I have an important question for you.
Great. It's tomato time.
Yes, it is.
What are you doing with those tomatoes?
Well, the tip that I like to pass on to everyone is I hope you're starving your tomatoes of water.
Oh, yes.
By this time, the fruit has set on the vine. And remember, all fruits and vegetables exist for one purpose only, for their seeds to propagate. That's all they do. So you want them to put all their energy towards the fruit or vegetable. Throw all the acid, all the sweetness, all the moisture, all the biodynamic energy. Everything should be focused on that, because the more of that, the fruit or the vegetable is what surrounds the seed.
Is it a fruit or a vegetable?
Well, we'll get into that in a second. But the idea is, if you starve them of water once it's set, it directs all their energy there. That's why even in Italy, certain types of tomatoes, they pull the plant out and hang them upside down for 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 weeks in a dark, cool place, because there's still moisture in the vines, and it'll come down and still transfer that energy. And dry aging your tomatoes makes them much more intense in flavor.
Was like decor.
You know, and it's a very, very, very unique thing. There's only 1 or 2 fruits and vegetables in the world that wear their seeds on the outside and not bury them on the inside. One famous fruit that you eat all the time.
What?
Strawberries.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, I know I'm right.
Yeah. Now I was like.
But it's fascinating. So but there, the strawberry is meant as it creates acids and protein, all kinds of things to keep the seed healthy. And then when it dies and shrivels, those tiny little seeds go off into the ground so that it can continue to grow. All plants, that's what they want to do. Yeah. Pine cones, they propagate themselves. So what you want to do at a certain point is starve those. Now, there are other fast-growing that you like, green beans or asparagus, where you don't have really time to do that. But in general, with other things, you can play that water-sun game with them in intent. So if you've done that and you're having a bounty bumper crop, that's great. Then there's also the opportunity to buy, 15, 30 pound, 50 pound, 100 pounds at farmers markets of bruised, dented, and otherwise blechy tomatoes, and process them for all kinds of things. I found very few. I mean, look, there's some chefs or gardeners that want to have 20 tomato plants, and then they love the idea of processing with their family. I have 4 tomato plants, and it's more than I can keep up with.
I think that's about what we have too.
But I don't have enough to process. So I typically at late August will buy 30, 40, 50 pounds at the farmer's market and make sauce.
Okay, so let's talk about sauce. So that's when you get like a big ass bushel of them or something, and you make them at home. So what do you do? And then I want to know how you preserve them.
Peel them.
Okay. Step 1.
And I go right to cooking and freezing rather than canning or putting up tomatoes, because I don't want to change the flavor of the tomato by adding acid and pH, or adjusting acid and pH levels so that they're canning safe. I find that it's my process of milling my tomatoes, or peeling them and oven roasting them for 3 or 4 hours at 300 degrees to dry them out and concentrate the flavor. Always peel them first.
And then
always peel them first, because it's tough to take the skins off. Otherwise,
and
they don't lose moisture enough. Yes.
For sauce, okay.
And the reason that I would roast them in trays first is I have 2 ovens at my house, so I can always have them rotating, and there's so much acid in a tomato, they can sit for 3-4 hours, or even overnight if you're doing a lot of roasting. But 50 pounds would be like 8 trays. 3 hours each at 300 evaporates about half the moisture, which concentrates the flavor of the tomato, so it spends less time cooking because it doesn't have to boil off all that liquid. And now the other thing I do is I make paste with the tomatoes in my garden.
How do you do that?
So I take 10 pounds of tomatoes,
Okay.
same shape.
Same shape. So you just
Quarter them or have them. They could be
Okay.
green ones, yellow ones, red ones. Doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Although I do like to segregate, because if you have 10 pounds of yellow tomatoes, right? What an amazing thing to have yellow, or a tomato paste color that's not red, because by the time you roast them, they're not yellow.
Yeah.
I love yellow tomato sauces. I make yellow tomato sorbet. I process that. But I take my tomatoes, have them or quarter them, toss them in a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper, arrange them cut side up on trays that have either a silpat or a piece of baking paper down, and then roast them at 225 degrees for 6 to 8 hours.
Okay. This is one thing
and they dry out.
Yeah, I do this one.
Right.
But now I want to know
I mean,
what
I've made
you
it
do
a
next.
lot around you. So then I puree it.
Okay.
Now, some people don't care about the seeds. I like to have a seedless puree.
Oh, okay.
So I just pass it through a sieve.
And are they bitter?
Oh,
Or-
no.
But you take them out because you don't like how they look?
I don't have it's just objectionable texture-wise, all the rest. That says you want a
All right.
sauce. I don't want a bunch of tomato seeds in there. Sometimes if they've been exposed during the roasting process, they can be harder than normal. Depending on the tomato type and varietal, sometimes there can be an off flavor, or some people have a bitter flavor. I'm more concerned about, in general, the skins, but I also prefer to have the seeds done. If I'm milling tomatoes, like I'm doing, let's say I'm making tomato water, or I'm going to poach fish in tomato puree from the garden, which is, by the way, if you want something that tastes like summer, take 2 or 3 pounds of tomatoes, chop them up, put them through a food mill, hand crank food mill. The resulting juice and pulp, you then simmer, reduce by about half, season a little wine, some herbs, some salt and pepper. You're not making sauce. This is still just tomato broth at this point. And you bring it to a boil and put in 5 or 6 pieces of striped bass or halibut, other firm to flaky white flesh. Don't do it with flounder, but you could, because you just literally put a lid on it and turn it off and come back to it a half hour later. The fish is cooked through the ambient heat of the tomato liquid. You plate them, and then you can put that tomato liquid into a larger saute pan, sort of reduce it and make a brothy sauce, like its own little cioppino thing, or throw clams and mussels in and let them open and pour that over the top. It's just tomatoes and white fleshed fish, to me, is a match made in heaven.
All right. That's
I
something
love it. Lots of
literally
things to do.
never thought of.
But the other thing that I do is I just conventionally will just mill them and label it as tomato puree, uncooked, and date it and put it in quarts in my freezer, because when you need a couple quarts of tomato puree to make a sauce, or you've got it, and then you've got your own tomato paste as well.
Yeah.
And they will have different flavors and different, flavor profiles to go with different things. The green zebra tomato is fantastic for making certain types of sauces.
That's one that I am growing.
Oh
right
my
now.
God.
They're cool.
They're cool. They are sweet. They're not unsweet. I find all tomatoes sweet, but they've got a really nice acid sweet balance.
Yeah, they're like almost like limey.
They are more citric. They're a little more. Yeah, they are. And so I love doing like I know this sounds crazy, but like stuffed cabbage with a sauce from the green tomato puree, or roasted peppers with a sauce from them, and you can tilt that into a Mexican like with Mexican oregano and cilantro and some chili peppers and garlic and onion, and tilt it that way. You'll be it's fantastic. It's one of Noah's favorite recipes. I take bell peppers, stuff them with meat and half-cooked rice and seasonings and cheese that I've rotated, and brush them with oil and bake them for like 45 minutes. and then I pour a sauce around them with green tomatoes, not tomatillos, the green zebras that I've with garlic and cilantro and lime juice, and cook that for about another 20 minutes and serve it.
Is that on our website?
No.
No.
I was saving it for the book.
Oh, the book. People know now about the secret.
Well, I've said it. I've said it for a long time. I've not done a cookbook for a reason until a certain time in my life when I could do the right one the right way.
Great. Well, we'll make sure everyone on here gets a pre-order or something.
Oh, we'll be talking. I'm assuming 8-9 months from now, we're talking about that.
Yeah. Well, that sounds delicious. Yeah, this is making me feel better because I am like a not gonna can anything kind of person. I just
freeze.
I freeze everything.
Do you have like a one of those places you bought at the dentist store?
What?
Like I have an old freezer, chest freezer.
Sort of. We have, because we bought a 120-year-old house and it came with
an ice cellar.
No, but it just came with kind of a shitty fridge and refrigerator, so we don't have a big chest or anything. But I feel like
an extra freezer.
We do. It's great. It's in the basement. Yeah. So we fill it. It's great
because the kids, when they're older, can keep their drinks and snacks in there, and whatever room it's in can be the place they smoke weed with their friends and play video games.
Perfect. That is exactly what I hope.
You're a good mom.
Such a good mom.
Did you have other tomato questions?
Well, the thing is, do
you do tomato pies?
No.
So you can slice tomatoes.
Yeah.
Like 1/3 of an inch thick.
Okay.
Put them on sprinkle with olive oil, a little salt and pepper, and roast them in the oven.
Yep.
225 degrees for like 4 hours.
Yep. This is where I'm at.
Okay, they shrink a little bit. Some of that moisture is done. Then make your tomato pie according to any of the recipes that are out there.
So I don't get too wet and weird. And then also, because
the flavor is so concentrated.
Yeah, they get really sweet and like kind of candied.
Yes.
Kind of like when they get just slightly burned. And those are the ones I eat.
Yeah,
I eat those before.
The ones on the pie will get that on the top unless you have too much cheese or whatever your recipe you're following. But I do like those extra ones that become more like an oven roasted or oven dried tomato. And I've put those in salads, use those in a lot of other ways. But yeah, I like to make tomato pies, but there is one way to utilize tomatoes that I think stands above all the others.
Okay.
White bread.
Okay.
Toasted.
Yes.
Hellmann's mayonnaise or Duke's.
We are almost the exact same here.
Sliced tomatoes.
Yes.
Salt and pepper. I do not look. A lot of people are BLT obsessed this kind of year. But I just assume eat 2 tomato sandwiches. I don't need the L and the B.
Yeah.
Just give me the mayo, the toast, and the tea. And several different types, sliced fresh with all that tomato juice. There's something about tomato juice and mayonnaise. Okay? So
yes.
Hold that thought. Do you like that?
Yes.
Okay. So remember, the next time you're thinking of a salad dressing and you want to add some acid flavor to mayonnaise to make like a coleslaw or a tossed green salad or something like that, instead of using vinegar, you can use tomato puree.
All right.
Fresh, your own.
Great.
Because by mixing them together, it's incredible flavor to experiment with.
Yeah, I do not like tomatoes in general, except for now. Like, I don't like them any other time of year. I basically only eat them right now. I don't know.
Is that because they're a member of the nightshade family and you have, like, biblical feelings about...
No, but I just don't think they taste that good.
Is it not approved by your Wiccan group or whatever?
That's true, yeah.
Call your girlfriends?
No. They just taste so much better this time of year. It's, like, not even worth it to eat the mealy, gross ones.
Have you and your friends ever put a spell on anyone?
How do you think you broke your ankle?
Interesting. Go fork yourself.